taste the beginning. Now you want more. Death and their album, Scream Bloody Gore, from 1987. This is the first album in Death's discography. With Chuck Schuldiner on guitar, bass, and vocals, and Chris Reifert on drums, they played their hearts out. This, at the time, two-man band redefined a new age of music, the age of pure death metal. We also have Edward J. Repka to thank for that awesome and iconic artwork. It truly lives up to the album, with its party of robed skeletons enjoying goblets of gore. To some, this album is the transition from thrash to death metal. To me, it just kicks ass. However, to answer the big question, which do I think was the first ever death metal album, Possessed, Seven Churches, or Death's Scream Bloody Gore? My answer, in my opinion, Possessed, Seven Churches came out in 1985, and Death's Scream Bloody Gore came out in 1987. I think the atmosphere and the riffs are what makes Possessed, Seven Churches the first death metal album. However, Death's Scream Bloody Gore is the first pure death metal album. Pure as in it loses some of its thrash metal elements, in return for heavier instrumental rage. You can still have thrashy death metal, and classify it as death thrash, or how I like to spell it out as death thrash. As long as the death metal elements are the most prevalent, though, it can be considered death metal. Again, all in my opinion. It is definitely an evil and raw-sounding album that gets crazy right from the beginning, and doesn't let up until the fade-out when the Land of No Return finishes. Some of the lyrics could have been a bit more creative, but still, this is gnarly and violent. One of the problems I have with the lyrics is that every name of the song is screamed in the song. Like Zombie Ritual, they scream Zombie Ritual. Evil Dead, they scream Evil Dead. Land of No Return, I think they scream The Land of No Return. Scream Bloody Gore, they scream Bloody Gore. It gets kind of predictable. Infernal Death, the first song off this album, is about bodies that are indeed burning, and it's just the start of the brutality that is to come. By the time Zombie Ritual rolls around, we get a great intro that breaks from the bashing and smashing, and it does take sort of a groovy and Aztec approach. You could build pyramids and dance while doing it to this tune. Then when you are used to the somewhat calming guitar playing, BAM! They start shredding again. Zombie Ritual was the first death song I was introduced to. Another great song with a kick-ass evil intro is Evil Dead. This used to be my favorite song off this album because it starts off so magically. Then with a slide of the guitar strings, it's back into crazy fun territory. I find myself listening to Zombie Ritual more now, though. Beyond the Unholy Grave actually has a very death thrashy start. It is a nice refresher to kickstart your attention to how intense this album is. It's 44 minutes and 12 songs, which is the most off of any death album. This album is nothing short of raw. But I won't be the first to admit that sometimes, if you're not in the right mood, it can be kind of boring. The drums, guitars, and vocals all sort of mesh together to form this noise that is cool, but still needed improvement. One big thing I always pay attention to is what kind of atmosphere the album brings. There is a strong horror movie element that is just raw and powerful. I feel I could walk through a foggy graveyard and watch the dead rise as I offer them my goblet of gore while I'm listening to this album. As you all know, I love horror movies, so the atmosphere this brings is right up my alley. Hell, the song's Zombie Ritual is based off of Zombie 1979, Regurgitated Guts is based off the movie City of the Living Dead, and Beyond the Unholy Grave was based off of The Beyond, which that is nothing short of awesome. 3 times the Fulci madness. Did I just look that up to find out? Yes and no. I kind of gathered that Regurgitated Guts was based off of City of the Living Dead from the lyrics, but so the other two were a complete surprise. I wouldn't be shocked if Evil Dead was based off of The Evil Dead. This band was formed in 1984, 1983 if you count Mantis, and they have been a strong driving force in the death metal world up until 1998. Well, maybe 2001 actually, because people would always look out for the next death album, and every time they were not disappointed. However, that all unfortunately ended in 2001, when Chuck Schuldiner died from cancer. It was and still is a terrible loss, even more so at the time he died, because it seemed that death had finally found their voice. To a lot of people, though, the sound of perseverance was the final chapter in Death's long story. Anyways, we've got a while to go before I talked about that album. Rest in pieces, Chuck. Your work will live on forever. The best songs off this album, in my opinion, are as follows. Number 6 is Regurgitated Guts. Number 5 is Baptized in Blood. Number 4, The Land of No Return. Number 3, Scream Bloody Gore. Number 2, Evil Dead. And number 1, as mentioned before, Zombie Ritual. Overall, I give Death's album, Scream Bloody Gore, a 4 out of 5. This came out on May 25th, 2 days and 6 years before my birthday. Happy 30th anniversary, Scream Bloody Gore. Lion Brain Gatto, host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below and to leave comments and subscribe.